Okay, hello everyone. My name is Flore Dorcely-Mohr. I am the Senior Director, rather, for Berkeley College Career Services. And today's presentation is called The 6 Secrets of a Successful Internship. So I'm going to just share with you over my years of experience what I have seen that works really well for interns that are trying to, distinguish themselves within whatever field it is. So it doesn't matter what your major is, doesn't matter what you're doing. I have some notes here that I'm going to share with you. And if you have questions, you can feel free to reach out to me or your career counselor, and we'll be more than happy to help you. So let's get started. Okay. So I've separated these 6 secrets into 3 sections because I like to compartmentalize things. The first 2 secrets are really for beginners. They're very important and very beneficial, I think, for those that are new to a field or who are career changers or have very limited experience, maybe never interned before. If you only learn these, then you'll be pretty successful, I think, in the majority of the time. But then, if you don't know these at all, then you can really kind of mess up even the best intentions. So that's why I think these are the basic ones. So the first secret is to balance your personal goals versus your realistic expectations. Okay, so what are your goals and those goals that your supervisor has? What would a good internship even look like to them? I think it's important for people to keep in mind that while you're going to go to the internship to benefit you, you also want the supervisor to feel like they have a benefit as well, right? So, think about whether or not you may want to establish a network of professionals that you can contact if you want just some information. You might want to build on your skills. Or maybe another goal is just to develop some skill or specialization in a particular area of the industry or the field that you have an interest in. Whatever they are, just keep those in mind at the very beginning, at least. So that way you can balance those against whatever your supervisor or the organization has as a goal for you. So during the first few days of the internship, it's really important, I think, as part of your orientation, maybe, to develop a job description, or maybe just a set of priorities, just a game plan so the next 3 months don't seem kind of haphazard and you're kind of, not sure where it's going to lead to. Take special precautions, not to overpromise and underdeliver, right? So when you get there, your whole goal is to do the best that you can and certainly try to keep those expectations and goals that you have for yourself aligned with what the supervisor and the organization have for the role. I have a great example. I had an intern who, did an awesome job at their internship according to their supervisor. But because she was expecting to do something completely different, she hated it. And when they offered her the position at the end of the internship, she declined it because she really wasn't looking to do any more of what she was already doing. So that's what can happen when you have mismatched goals and expectations. So what's the second secret? Positivity trumps proficiency all day, every day. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes you might think as a new, intern or a novice in the field that, if I know my stuff, I can really impress my supervisor. If I don't know anything, then they're already going to think nothing of me. Well, I can tell you that if you really use the power of positivity, you can sometimes make your supervisor forgive even the most unforgiving mistakes, right? Because a lot of times as an intern, you might make mistakes. But let me tell you something. If you can be enthusiastic about your work, if you can, show that you are positive, even in the face of some of the most dire consequences that might be going on, you can really distinguish yourself. Okay, when you're just starting out, realistically, that might be the only thing that you have going for yourself is a positive attitude. Maybe you don't have a whole lot of skill, That makes sense. You're an intern. You're just starting out, right? You might feel like you're going to be a burden to your supervisor at first, but if you're positive and not just proficient, even if you're not that proficient, you might make yourself very endearing to your supervisor. And the type of intern that's known to be positive is the type of person that people want to work with. Keep that in mind when on those days that you go home maybe for your internship and your head is reeling and you're just so confused. You're like, I don't know anything. I don't know if I'm ever going to know anything. Try to stay positive. I'll give you an example. One of my fashion majors had very little experience in the field, and I mean none, okay? She'd been working for the last 5 years as a waitress in a small pizzeria, near her home in Jersey, not even in New York, okay, to help put herself through school. But she had such a sunny, charming demeanor that she was able to secure not one, but 2 internships in her field, one of which, and she did them both at the same time, okay? One offered her a position, a permanent job, even before she graduated. So she hadn't even finished the internship, and they were like, you know what? We don't want anybody else to snap you up. They knew that she was doing another internship, and they wanted to quickly snap her up before somebody else did. So I just want to share with you that that's an example of a way in which positivity, again, trumped proficiency, because she might not have been the most skilled, but she was definitely the most positive. What about another example? I had a business administration major, had been out of the workforce for almost 11 years, okay? All of the experience that person had was working in their home country of Ecuador, okay? So they didn't even work in the United States. She got her internship supervisor to offer her a full-time permanent position. How? Because she was warm. She was happy. Her temperament was just unflappable. Every day she came to work and made such an impression, they could not let her go. So I just want you to keep that in mind. You may think it sounds crazy because there's a lot of things that they need you to do and you don't really know how to do the majority of them. Keep your head up, keep your spirit high, and make them love you. Okay, so now the next 2 secrets are really for intermediaries. So these are for people that I think have already laid the foundation of the last 2. And if you're approaching the middle of your internship experience and you've earned your supervisor's trust, this is a good place for you to be. And these are 2 great secrets to keep in mind. Know how to stretch and grow your skills in almost any environment. And this will help you to begin analyzing what you're experiencing in a very critical way, addressing issues in a collaborative way and not how can I say, combative way, because sometimes that can be misconstrued. If you practice these secrets consistently, you will excel well above the average of most interns, okay? So, secret number 3. We're going to balance basic tasks versus showing initiative. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of supervisors are not going to tell you this secret, okay? But if you know it, you're going to shine like a rock star. So I'm really emphasizing this. If you listen to nothing else that I say in this presentation today, I really want you to focus on this one, okay? As it says on my screen, you want to build trust before you can be trusted with any real responsibility, okay? So a lot of times I will have students that'll say to me, I've been in this internship now for a good 2 weeks and I don't think I like it. I don't think they know what they're doing. They're doing this wrong. I don't like this. My supervisor doesn't know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. First of all, that goes against the whole positivity thing, okay? But you really have to know what essentially an internship is and how they're generally designed, okay? Most of the time, it's to give you exposure to a surface view of the daily activities of a professional in your field of interest and how they would conduct it, how that person would conduct it, okay? Most of the time, what you're doing, right, is making that person or the people that you're working with look good and helping them to make their jobs easier. That's the dirty secret, okay? You're going to be doing probably things that are considered drudgery for a lot of the time. You haven't proven yourself. You're going to be having to show them that you can do some of the most basic tasks in a conscientious and detail-oriented way. Are you a worker that can be trusted? That's the bottom line. To do the things that they don't have time to do in a very proficient and efficient way, so that then they can actually trust you to do things that will certainly contribute to the company or the department or their supervisor. Okay? Spell check your emails. How about this? Double check numbers. Look up names to make sure that you're spelling them correctly. These are very basic things, I know, but I'm going to also tell you that a lot of interns don't do them. And if you don't do it and you mess up there, maybe once or twice you might be forgiven. But careless mistakes where you keep doing it over and over again, I'm sorry, that's going to be a lot less forgivable, no matter how positive you are. Okay? Think of everything you do as leaving a mark. So why not have a reputation for being excellent? You can do that even with the most basic of tasks, right? Now, once you've done that, then you might get a chance to start showing some initiative, right? That might be your opportunity to then say, hey, not only am I going to do this, but I think I'd like to extend and do this. And I'll give you an example in a minute. But let me tell you something. Another big thing that I believe that trumps a lot of people, or that gets people in trouble, is having too much free time, okay? They say that adversity does not build character, it reveals it. So does free time on the job, okay? Sometimes you have a lot of time in between projects. What are you going to do with that time? Generally, there are three types of interns I see, right? So there's the intern that uses their time to check their Twitter account, their email, maybe text a few of their friends on their phone. Secondly, you have the intern who, the minute they're finished their job, whatever project it is, they shoot to their supervisor's office and they harangue them, asking, is there anything that you can do, anything that they can do, any project, anything else? They're subtly hinting at how bored that they are. And then there's intern number 3, using their fine, keen powers of observation after they're done with their task, thoughtfully suggests additional tasks that they can do for the supervisor, for the department maybe, or the organization at large. They're the type of intern that somebody would want to have on the job because they're thinking about what else they can do, but they've done the basic tasks flawlessly as well. Okay, so don't get the cart before the horse. You definitely want to master those basic tasks, but before you run into your supervisor's office and ask them for direction, think of some things that you could do for your supervisor that they might appreciate. Okay? Even if you're asked, let's say, to forward a document, okay, to someone, here's a suggestion: read it. Take a look at that document. Are there any spelling errors in it? Does it make sense to you? Do you understand what you're looking at? All right? Because if there are any typos or grammatical errors or spelling errors, maybe you might want to make those corrections before you have to make 100 copies and send that out to somebody. Those are the kinds of little things that you can do with your basic tasks that show initiative and that allow you to become a trusted member of the team. I'll give you another example just before I talk about this next secret. I had a really amazing, and all these stories are interns that I'm going to share with you because I think they motivate you to see that interns can make a difference. One of the best student interns I've ever had the pleasure of working with. Just really a brilliant person, of course, but most importantly, he understood the value of paying his dues. Okay, he interned at one of the top 3 broadcasting networks in New York City. I'm not going to say which one because, well, you'll see. One of his first tasks, unfortunately, was to file a virtual mountain of documents for his supervisor. And after the first couple of hours doing this filing, he realized why it was reserved for the intern. That particular filing system was cumbersome, outdated, rife with redundancies. It took forever to get even the basic tasks done. He went to his supervisor after several hours of doing this, a day or two, and he offered some gentle suggestions to improve the way it was organized. And since he was the only one who was doing the filing, and a lot of the times this was an overlooked thing until somebody needed a particular file, his supervisor said, sure, go ahead. So he set to begin overhauling the entire system. When he was done, he created a way so that what used to take 10 or more minutes to do, basically find a file, was whittled down to 2 minutes from 10. And they continued to use his system well after he had moved on. This is what I'm talking about. Even something as basic as filing could be considered a way to use your initiative if you really want to. All right, so let's talk about secret number 4. Here, I'm talking about asking questions versus sourcing answers, right? So you have to balance that. Now, it's a very common pitfall for inexperienced interns. Knowing this secret and using it to your advantage will make you appear resourceful, well-informed, something that's really tough to do if you're relatively new to an organization or the field and have a very steep learning curve. Most interns are like that. But this is what I'm talking about. You're going to need to communicate with your supervisor, right? You're going to need to get direction. You're going to have lots of questions. That makes sense, right? But you're going to always want to make your supervisor's time worthwhile. Not only are you going to be asking them a lot of questions, but hopefully you're going to be able to source some of your own answers as well. Okay? So a lot of times, people think, oh, I'm just having a quick chat with my supervisor. Get to know what they know. On the times that you're not speaking with them, read reports. Get the history of the organization. Know about the clients, their competitors, what goals they might have for the future, what's their reputation like in the field. Attend company meetings, industry conferences. Any chance that you get to learn more about the business, take it. Relevant journals, articles, online even. All of this will give you a feel for trends and current events that affect you and your supervisor and the company. Do you see how I mean that you will become a source of information, even for yourself, if not for the organization? Don't worry that you ask a lot of questions. I mean, I have to say that most supervisors are not bothered by that, at least at the beginning. But if you keep asking the same questions over and over again, that might signal a problem, right? That either you weren't paying attention to the answer the first time, or that you really have problems understanding what's happening and you're not getting the information. So, my main point in this is, try to group your questions so that when you are asking them, you give your supervisor a chance to answer them quickly and efficiently. And then when you don't have your supervisor around, find out where else can you get these answers. Do some research on your own. Have a confidant that you can talk to who might be able to help you locate the answers that you need so that you can also be a resource and not just a constant, person who's always asking questions. Be careful about the questions that you ask over and over again. You're not getting it or they're not explaining it correctly. It might be a combination, but you don't want to be the person that is just exhausting your supervisor asking the same thing, right? Another great example, I'm going to give you a scenario. One of my interns worked at a medical establishment for the first time, never worked in the field of medicine before. So at first, it took a long time for him to familiarize himself with some of the terminology. He'd go home after every shift and he'd spend hours researching every type of illness, the procedures, the medications that he would hear the doctors talk about every day. And, for a while he was scribbling down everything, but at some point it started to make sense. At the end of his internship, he was able to really follow and even answer some of the basic questions that he would be asked by people, that were in the office or, other interns that were working with him. So his supervisory evaluation at the end included a comment that the doctor thought he was the most knowledgeable and intellectually curious intern he'd ever seen. And he didn't know anything when he first started. So it is possible to climb that steep learning curve and still get a lot of value from the internship if you want to, okay? So let's talk about these advanced secrets now, right? So these last two really move you into the advanced section, okay? The confidence of learning the previous secrets will prepare you for these most challenging two. Knowing these secrets will help you achieve legendary status at your organization in a very short time. Potentially make lasting positive contribution to even the field that you're in. You might discover something. Establish a body of work that's rarely seen in most internships. And I have to be honest, I don't see a lot of interns doing this because it really does require a certain level of mastery, okay? So you really have to start seeing your internship as more than it is, and you might not even get the opportunity to go there. But I'm gonna tell you anyway, just in case. All right, so secret number 5, balance identifying challenges with offering solutions. So this is, I could say, a corollary to the last secret, number 4, all right? Because you're gonna see that there's a lot of smart, articulate interns, people, even professionals in the field that, sometimes bring to the job all of this knowledge and, all of this intellectual, information that they have, right? And they want to exercise some initiative with their supervisor. But keep this secret in mind, because you want to develop problem-solving skills, but you want to be collaborative in the way that you do this. Okay, so, at some point in your internship, usually towards the end, you're going to be able to spot problems. You're going to see inefficiencies, notice perhaps everything that's wrong with your company, your department, and even your supervisor, right? Remember what I said at the beginning, to be positive, right? So what I want you to remember, if you remember nothing else about this secret, do not offer any critique without corresponding solutions. Why is this important? Well, remember, your opinion might be valuable, but don't make the rookie mistake of ruthlessly dissecting every idea that comes across your way with your razor-sharp intellect and be known as the one person who sits in the corner and pokes jabs at other people's efforts and suggestions and ideas. Okay, so interns that are just pointing out problems get labeled as complainers. You don't want to be labeled as a complainer. Believe me, perception is reality. Remember, you want to be positively viewed. You want to get those projects that the permanent staff wants you to have, but you want to stand out in a way that shows that you have solutions and not just problems. Everybody can point out problems, People that come up with solutions are the ones that they remember. So let me give you an example. One of my former interns worked at a nursing home. The activities director struggled to get residents to participate in group events every week. After working there for the first couple of weeks, she started to think of ways to improve the engagement. A few of her ideas came from asking the residents too. And this is another secret. Whoever's closest to the problem is where the solution is going to be. So if you see a lot of problems, I bet you can come up with solutions. Okay, so being an animal lover, an avid animal lover, my intern suggested arranging a visit by a local therapy pets organization to lift the spirits of some of the homesick elderly. The gentle dogs and cats were a big hit. It was the most well-attended activity they had ever had, and her supervisor made it a permanent part of every month's calendar. My intern wrote in her journal how rewarding it felt to have helped her supervisor resolve a challenging situation. She made her supervisor look good. And you know, she was closest to the problem. She could see how the residents wanted to do something fun, but it didn't seem like the supervisor was really keyed into what their needs were. You can do this too. All right, last one. So this is the last secret because, for obvious reasons, this is where you're going to end your internship, I hope, in a positive, fruitful, and nurturing way, right? So what are you going to take with you and leave behind? You're not going to take copy paper and Post-it notes and paper clips, and you're not going to leave behind coffee cups. That's not what I'm talking about here. Okay, what I'm talking about is staying connected with your contacts, right? Asking to see if you can keep copies of your portfolios, your presentations, your reports, just so that you can show what you learned. You know, actual documentation, artifacts, if you will, of your experience as an intern. You know, some of those things might be proprietary and private or confidential, so you may not be able to do that, but it's always worth asking, you know, what else can you leave behind? Well, hopefully you leave behind a legacy of excellence, right? What did they learn from you, as well as what did you learn from them? Some of the best internships I've ever seen, the supervisor actually has an exit interview if they're not hiring you on full time. And they ask you, what would you want the next intern to know so that they can have a better internship experience? And you could provide that for the supervisor who asks by leaving maybe some tips and tricks and strategies and techniques that they can use to make that internship even more beneficial. You've done it now, and hopefully you did such a great job that they will pay attention to what you're suggesting, okay? So those are my 6 secrets. You know, in closing, I just want you to really know that an internship is a great chance for you to make a name for yourself as an up-and-comer in your industry or your field. You know, make it a point to connect with as many people as possible. Keep your reputation for hard work intact. I hope that these 6 secrets provide a roadmap, so to speak. So when it's time for you to conduct your internship, you'll be ready. Or if you're finishing your internship now, you can hopefully take advantage of some of this advice and make it the best experience that you can. Let me know how you think, what you think, and reach out to your career counselor if you need any more advice. All right, take care. Thank you so much.